Kelsey. This is my channel, The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I'm wearing one of my fancy booktube hats. Happy Valentine's Day, if Valentine's Day is something you particularly care about. Today's video is not Valentine's related. Today is my February monthly recommendations video. You may remember the last 2 months I put my monthly recommendations off until the last night of the month. I'm not doing that this month. It's happening now. Monthly Recommendations is a Goodreads group created by Trina from Between Chapters and Kayla Rain. I will link the group down below so you can check it out. There is a topic every month, and anyone who wants to can join in with a booktube video or blog post recommending a list of books for the topic. And this month the topic is graphic novels and or mixed media. I've talked on my channel before at times about how before I joined booktube I didn't read graphic novels at all. I had no idea where even to begin looking for recommendations for the sorts of things that I would actually enjoy. And I consider it one of the great successes of my time on booktube here that a couple years after I started just thinking about the idea that I might read graphic novels, I've now found a lot of things that I really like, and I have every confidence that I will be able to continue to find more graphic novel format things that I will want to read in the future. So what I'm going to show you here today is everything that I currently have on my shelves that I have read that is in graphic novel format. Everything here is something that I've rated 4 or 5 stars. I've also read a bunch of graphic novels that I've gotten from the library. A lot of those have been in like the 3-star range though, and while I have given some of those higher ratings, if I don't have a copy of them right now to show you, it's not going to be as interesting as showing you the things that I have right here in physical copy that I can show you the art in. So starting at the beginning, the very first graphic novel that I picked up when I was looking to dip my toes in the waters was one that was very, very popular at the time. It was all over booktube, everyone was raving about it, so I was like, I'll give this a go, and that was of course Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. I didn't think this was gonna be for me because the art style is not necessarily something that I would have normally looked at and said, aha, I will like this. But I got really invested in this story. This is one of those stories that starts out looking pretty simplistic, and then by the time you get to the end, it turns into something much more interesting and complex that has really stuck with me. I still find myself thinking back on the story of this graphic novel, and I'm sure I will read it again someday. That is why when I got a chance to pick up a used copy of this a while after I had read it, I did so because I initially got it from the library, because I am sure I will want to read this again. Next, I have something massive that I read in massive print format, but you don't have to, and that is Digger by Ursula Vernon. This was a webcomic that ran for multiple years and is still available for free to read online. I really do not like reading on my computer screen, so I invested in this big, massive print bind-up of it. Now, I am not certain, but this might have been the first thing I ever read by Ursula Vernon / T. Kingfisher. T. Kingfisher being a pen name that she uses for a lot of her stuff. She is both an author and an illustrator. She writes books without pictures, she does comics, and she also does illustrated books for younger readers. And I was aware of all of her T. Kingfisher stuff that was fairy tale-ish, and I knew I wanted to read it, but I picked this up as my first thing from her, I think, because this won the Mythopoeic Fantasy Award, which normally doesn't go to graphic novels. That is an award that, in my experience, tends to be a strong indicator that I will like a thing, and so I had heard a lot of good things from people I trusted here on booktube about Ursula Vernon as an author that made me think I would really like her, and I knew she had a graphic novel thing that had won that particular award, and I was looking for graphic novel things to read, and I picked it up. This is, again, not a type of art that I would have initially thought, like, oh, this is my type of art I want to look at, but her character design is so expressive. You can look at any of these panels of Digger's face, the main character is a wombat, and know exactly what she is thinking. And that makes this just a joy to read. Digger is a very practical wombat who gets lost digging a tunnel and ends up on a weird fantasy adventure quest thingy. It's, you know, anthropomorphic animal fiction stuff. There's like a society of matriarchal hyenas, there are dead gods, there's prophecies, and through it all, Digger is the down-to-earth practical character who thinks through all of the nuts and bolts and things. She didn't want to be part of this big fantasy epic at all. She just wants to get back home and hopefully do the right thing along the way. This gets into lots of interesting moral and ethical territory, and it does it with a lot of heart and feeling. I really like this, and because it is free to read online, I highly suggest you go at least see if it might be something you would like. I will leave the link to the webcomic down below. The next thing I have to talk about is another graphic novel-ish thing that was very, very, very popular on BookTube for a while, which was how I learned about it, and that is The Arrival by Shaun Tan. This is a completely wordless book told entirely in images that's about the immigrant experience. Part of the point is that it's told entirely in images so that there isn't a need to know any particular language to read the book, because language barriers are in part one of the things that happens in this book. Basically, this man leaves his family and arrives in a new country to try to make a home to bring his family there with him. The imagery in this is phenomenal because everything is described with this fantastical imagery. So there's all this strange stuff that like he doesn't understand and has to figure out what it means in this culture and society. Here's a full page spread where you can really see just how beautiful Shaun Tan's illustrations are. It's just absolutely lovely. It's a very short read, but well deserving of the praise. Next, I'm going to talk about a pair of graphic novels, The Encyclopedia of Early Earth and The 100 Nights of Hero, both by Isabel Greenberg. These take place in the same world of Early Earth, but you can read them in either order. This one was published first. I ended up reading this one first. Of these two, The 100 Nights of Hero is my favorite. It is the first graphic novel that I gave a full 5 stars to. The Encyclopedia of Early Earth was a 4-star read for me. These both have the sort of story within story emphasis on storytelling as part of the story thing that I absolutely love. I'm a total sucker for it in any format. This one is a little more based in mythology, and this one is a little more based in fairy tales and folklore. I also thought that this one was just meatier and packed more of a punch. Isabel Greenberg's art is interesting. It's got this very sketchy quality, and then she uses pops of color very intentionally. These are very text heavy as well, and I really like the writing style. She has that sense of fantasy folklorish storytelling that I really, really like, and then she sort of peppers it with this wry modern humor that you wouldn't think necessarily would work, but it really, really does. These also have a serious amount of hype behind them, and I also think that they are totally worth the hype. And next here I do have 2 things out from the library right now that I read in January that are fresh on my mind, both of which I really liked. So these are library copies that I still have out. I haven't returned them yet. The first is Castle in the Stars, Book 1, The Space Race of 1869 by Alex Alice. This is the first in like a middle grade-ish graphic novel series that is steampunk that's being translated from French. And I picked this up because the artwork is just so very pretty, and I will be wrapping this up in my January wrap-up. I gave it 4 stars, more for the art than for the story. The story hasn't gotten that far in this volume yet, but it's fun and it does the job. And then the next thing is another kids or middle grade-ish graphic novel, but this one I gave 5 stars to, making it my second 5-star graphic novel read ever, and it is The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. This is absolutely charming and wholesome, and it has a ton of great representation in it. It's about these 2 girls who end up learning how to care for tea dragons, which are these little domesticated dragons that require a lot of intensive care, and they grow tea leaves out of their head that have magical properties. It's just so, 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 so charming. It's so short, but every page is pure perfection, and it's one of those, like, utterly heartwarming things where every detail just, like, melted me. It is so cute and so heartfelt. I really want to buy myself a copy of this now because I don't want to give it back to the library. I want to keep it forever. And then the last thing I want to talk about is a manga series. I have just started dipping my toes into manga, and these are the only ones I've read so far. I have the first volumes in 2 more series that I'm really interested in checking out. But so far the one manga series that I'm reading, and I take it that this is a pretty strange place to be starting with manga, but it's working for me, is The Girl from the Other Side by Nagabe. There are 3 volumes of this out so far. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. This is about a world that's divided between the outside and the inside. The humans live on the inside. The outsiders live on the outside. They're thought to be cursed. There's like a god of each side. And the humans are super paranoid about trying to prevent the curse from spreading. There's clearly like some big picture stuff going on that's starting to unfold. I've just read Volume 3, so I'll be talking about that in a wrap-up eventually. But the story is about this little girl named Shiva who is being cared for by this outsider that she calls teacher. And on the backdrop of this like creepy setting and world, it's, you know, very intimate and charming in the relationship between Shiva and teacher, and there's a lot that's whimsical and lovely, even though the setting and the atmosphere is very dark and creepy. And the art is just great. The art can get this like sort of dark and haunting look. It's got this kind of sketchy look to it, and it's very evocative. I like it a lot. So those are all the graphic novel things that I like that are on my shelves right now that I can show you. Off the top of my head, the thing that I am sad wasn't on this list because I'm getting them from the library and I'm really liking them, but I'm not buying copies, are the Hilda graphic novels by Luke Pearson. Hilda and the Troll and Hilda and the Midnight Giant are the first 2 that I've read from the library. Those are also like kids or middle grade graphic novels. I think I like kids' graphic novels. I enjoy them. But yeah, so far I've discovered that the graphic novels I really enjoy are less of the mainstream comics and more sort of things off the beaten path that fall into like genres and subgenres I really enjoy. I'm not that into things that rely heavily on visual depictions of action or violence or battle or stuff. That's less my thing. But I'm super pleased that I've found so many things that I really like and can recommend in what seems to me to be a really short period of time. Anyhow, if you've read any of these things and want to gush over them with me, please let me know in the comments. If you have recommendations of things you think I'd enjoy, also let me know. Anyhow, I hope you're having a nice day. That is all. Bye for now.